All right, welcome to Flamingo Fight Talk. I am Derek Shaw. I'm your host today. The co-host will be joining me later tonight as we break down UFC Macaw. But for now, we gotta talk about the real global UFC. Damn it, I messed it up. I'm not cutting it. The real global MMA organization, the PFL. Yeah, that's hysterical that I called MMA UFC. That is great. Wow. I just did a boxing thing. I just did a one championship thing. I'm doing a PFL thing. Later I'm going to be doing an RAF thing, another boxing, cover UFC. But it's like, wow, I really just did that. Wow. Anyways, let's get into it. PFL 2, and you know what? 2-for-1 special this video. We're going to be talking about PFL Brussels and PFL MENA 9, the Pride of Arabia. Let's get into the MENA 9 really quick. Obviously, it's the low tier one, so not as much to talk about. In the co-main event, we had Giles Dejroun going against Salal Adin Hamley. So, Dejroun, he also goes by Broly, so we're going to be calling him Broly. 24-9 veteran takes on the undefeated Moroccan super Salal Hamli, and Hamli is the current lightweight tournament winner. And the winner of this fight will take on Basil Shalon in the semifinals. Remember, PFL, I'm reading from my notes, forgive me. PFL, they do the tournament, you know what I mean? They do the tournament structure, even though they kind of got rid of it. They're still doing it on their more regional thing as the, the regional market, so MENA. So, I mean, they're doing a tournament right now, so this is for their, what division was this? Oh, let me look really quick. Oh my gosh, this was their lightweight 155 tournament. And so this is for a quarterfinal bout. Good performance by Broly. Showed great takedown defense from Hamley. Hamley need to set up the takedowns more. There's all right. So the round starts. Hamley goes right for the takedown right away. He was a slight favorite in the fight, but great takedown defense from Broly. Blocks that right away. Then, goes to the ground. He sprawled it. Good takedown defense. And then great strikes on the ground. They work up to the clinch, but, then Broly just keeps hammering away, lands the liver punch, and goes in for the kill as Hamley crumbled. Round 1 KO within pretty quick of the fight. So, not a lot to talk about. The veteran got it done against the undefeated fighter. And Hamley, they were definitely expecting him to go further in this tournament they had, but and that's why the tournament structure doesn't work. Scott Coker is coming back into the sport, and I know he's doing some type of tournament thing. Not as many details have been given on that yet, but we kind of need to just see how that goes. And this is always the weird thing with tournaments. You want the undefeated fighter to get further in the tournament, but it never seems to happen, especially against veterans. But that was the co-main event. The main event goes to a split decision. We had the former 3-time UAE Warrior champion and 0-3 UFC fighter Mohamed Yahya. I don't know how to pronounce the names. Take on 6-2 Tunisian fighter Mehdi Saadi. The winner of this fight, this is a featherweight quarterfinal bout, would take on Ahmed Tarek, and I don't know the other one. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce all the names. It's difficult for me. I like the one championship from the other video. I'm kind of just stepping in, starting to watch more of the PFL. I've never watched the MENA event before. It was a good fight. Mehdi early went for the takedown, got the takedown, and was able to land the jab pretty well. Yahya was just kind of following the whole time, kind of pacing him, trying to land his strikes, but he had no ability to cage cut at all. And that kind of just continued throughout the majority of the fight. And it did end up being a split decision. I think Mehdi kind of won that. I think Yahya did fairly. Round 2 was fairly close. I leaned towards him in that second round, but Mehdi definitely came back in the third, in my opinion. Overall, he just showed the better game plan and actually, fighting the fight. Muhammad Yah just kind of paced and followed him the whole time. And the grappling advantage by Saudi was definitely the better move. So, again, I don't know too much about these fighters. That's why I wanted to just cover the MENA event really quick. They're moving on to the semifinals, both Broly and Saudi, in their lightweight and featherweight divisions, respectively. So, as this continues, I will cover it and hopefully learn more about these fighters and be able to have kind of a little more coverage on it. But let's get into the big one, PFL Brussels. And let's just start right from the top, and we're going to work our way down on this one. We had Patrick Habirora taking on Benson Henderson. And, man, it was tough to watch that for Benson Henderson. He's 42 years old, and, he was one of those guys back in the day that was like, he talked about his retirement like it wasn't too far away. And, fighting at 42 years old, it's still, it's rough. So, Habirora undefeated, and, take a listen at this thing from Benson Henderson really quick. His last MMA fight was his last Bellator fight and his last title fight, and a sub loss to Usman Nurmagomedov. No disrespect there. He then loses at Abu Dhabi Extreme to Neiman Gracie by submission. He then loses to Anthony Pettis at Karate Combat. He then loses to Idris Virgo at Misfits Boxing, and then loses to Armin Sarukian at Absolute BJJ, and loses to Aljamain Sterling at RAF. Benson Henderson, the former champion, one of the most exciting fighters in the sport, super athletic, he has been on a cross-discipline losing streak for years now, and they put him against Habirora. Clearly, we know the score as MMA fans. They're trying to build up the new guy with the old guy. The problem is Benson was so washed it only lasted 21 seconds. And that sucks because Benson Henderson, he's a fun fighter. He deserves our respect, but Habirora demolished him. It wasn't close. The first punch that landed took him down, and now Habirora moves to 9-0. The Belgian bomber, exciting fighter, and this is where the PFL just is going to struggle because they need to get that guy some legitimacy, and clearly that was the plan of Benson Henderson. But when you walk through a guy like that's 40 years old, people don't think, oh, Habirora is so good. They think the other guy's so bad, and that sucks for Benson. And I think it is time for him to retire again. Cross discipline losing streak. I think I mentioned 7 fights there. I mean, he did have a win in an exhibition boxing match, but I'm not going to count exhibitions. Practice is practice. So yeah, I want more from Habirora. I want to see him back in it. I want to see him fighting, and I want to see this because he looks good. Really quick though, shout out to Dan Hardy. Ever since his infamous confrontation with Herb Dean, he's kind of been outside of the UFC, kind of got on the wrong side of the promotion there, arguing with the ref. Dana didn't take kindly to that. But he is a great commentator, great insight into striking. And it was good watching him do the commentary for PFL Brussels, do the post-fight interviews. I hope there's a way he can get back in the UFC on the commentary thing, because he really does offer a lot of value, and he's really good at it. I don't know. I think that bridge might be burned on both sides, but hopefully they can work it out, because damn, he's great. But, the PFL is lucky to have him. Let's talk about the co-main event. And again, this is kind of the same issue. Taylor Lapilus, known from his UFC run, and Lapilus, one of the best prospects outside the UFC. He was a UFC fighter. He left and went to the PFL, and he's been doing great. This is definitely one of those issues, again, just like the first one. You need legitimate things. And unfortunately, Jake Hadley is not a legitimate... I don't want to call him that. That's rude. He's a good fighter, but he's a gatekeeper for prospects. He is not great, and he didn't have anything for Taylor Lapilus on the feet. And I respect his ability to kind of offer the danger on the ground. At least enough of a threat to where Lapilus wasn't going to engage at all. But it's an easy 3 rounds for Lapilus, and this is why he's not in the UFC, is because he should have got a finish in this fight. It's kind of ridiculous that he didn't get a finish in this fight. The first 2 rounds in that fight, I'm going to look at my notes. Love his striking. Great defensive work on the ground from Hadley. It really slowed down Lapilus, but oh damn, great knockdown with the double jab from Lapilus. Round 1, easy. Round 2, Lapilus busting up Jake Hadley. Hadley, tough, but slowing down the fight of grappling. Good fight IQ from him, but he's just getting beat on. And then, round 3, look at my thing. A terrible round and a great fight. Complete props for Hadley for surviving gas and hurt. Lapis, I was thinking, damn, he's so good. I want him back in the UFC. I want to see him against Cheeto, Song Yadong, Sean O'Malley. And then it's bro, you gotta finish this fight. This guy's hurt. He's on the ground, pedaling his feet at him. And it's Jesus, just pass the feet and land some hammer fists, drop some elbows, do some ground and pound and get him out of there. You're not going to get the walk-off KO that he was hoping for, especially in round 3 when you're already tired. It's just not going to happen. So, again, I got spoiled on there because it was damn, the first 2 rounds was so great, and then round 3 is just it just drugged on, and it's Taylor, bro, get the finish, seal the deal, and that's the issue of it. But again, it was a great fight, and I want to see more from him. The crowd liked him, even though it became a little boring at the end there. Let's get into. So funny enough, I actually did not watch the Boris Atanga versus Jared Gooden fight, and I know that's bad because it was in round 1. It was only it wasn't that long, but a good legitimate win for Boris Atanga against the UFC vet Jared Gooden. 9-0 is the undefeated fighter now. But the fight I did watch that is funny because I don't know if anyone else watched it. Naoki Inoue took on Marceli Alves. So Alves, the previous, or I don't know if it goes how they do their tournament champions things, but Alves, the last PFL bantamweight champion. Inoue, the former Ryzen bantamweight champion. He just lost to Danny Sabatello in December. This was a cross-promotion fight, and this is one of those things where it's why I'm covering it. It's important for these cross-promotion fights to happen. UFC does not do it. They lost when Chuck got beat up by Rampage and Pride, and they are never going to do it again because it gave legitimacy to Pride. Pride already had legitimacy back then, but this is the issue, and this is why UFC, they got the stranglehold. You know what I mean? They got it. They're not going to give it up. They are MMA. I already messed up that comment at the beginning of this video, and you see why. The numbers on these last videos I do, PFL 1, the boxing fight hopefully gets a little bit. The MVP fight, I don't think got that much. The RAF one I'm going to do is probably not going to get that much. The other one's not going to get that much. Maybe the home fight, I'm hoping, maybe. But on our channel, at least the numbers we do get, which is very meager as we're new. But thank you for watching, by the way. Go ahead, like and share, subscribe. I'm going to plug that in now. UFC has the legitimacy because they don't let their fighters fight outside, and they don't take in. They bring in Michael Chandler or they bring in Patricio Pitbull, and they put them up against killers to make them look bad. And when guys are about to leave, they give them the hardest fight of a no-name guy in the division to try to, they try to tank their stock, and there's nothing wrong with that as a promotion. But because of the UFC state in the sport, where it's synonymous with it, they have completely taken over it. And the only way, other promotions can even survive, frankly, in my opinion, is cross-promotion fights amongst each other. So taking the former tournament champion and their former bantamweight champion, putting these guys against each other, I think that's a great idea for Rizin and PFL to do. I hope they do more of it. And it was a tough, close fight, split decision for the rising fighter. So who knows if PFL does it again? That's the exact reason why people don't like to do it. Because, oh damn, your guy lost, and no, that means there's a better guy in our division. However, these aren't, PFL, it's a tournament. There's always likely to be a new champion, even though they are getting away from that model. And Inoue was the former champ. He just lost. But let's get into that fight. Let's get right into it. And, Dan Hardy, again, he mentioned a lot, so maybe a little bit of my bias there, because I know listening to him talking. Great fight. I love Inoue's style. Amazing footwork. He has a really nice jab, just long jab straight. Came on the end of the punches. Alves, definitely the stronger fighter, throwing mean heaters, but he catches mostly air. Not a lot of cage cutting in that first round. In just a lot of following, and anyways, footwork just kept him moving, kept him out of danger. Second round, much better corralling by Alves. lands a big knockdown early in that round. Anyway, much better footwork than he has head movement. So he's able to move all over the place, but the head isn't moving away from the body. So as long as you can time that, footwork moving in the direction, Alves can catch him. And, him being able to corral, he was landing heaters on Inoue in that second round. So we have it 1 round Inoue and 1 round Alves going into the final round. And frankly, what a wild back and forth round. 10-10. That's my score. I know that didn't get it. It's a draw. I can't pick. I don't think it was a knockdown that Inoue scored. I think that was kind of more of an off balance, got knocked over with the jab. But if you gave Inoue that knockdown, then obviously he won the fight. I thought it was close. I don't know if I could really pick the fight, but I wish that was 5 rounds. Because that was an amazing, amazing fight. Wow, that was a good fight. I am going to be I'll watch Alves' next fight as well, but I am definitely going to be watching Naoki Inoue's next fight. I love his style. I really do. And let's get into the fun thing, the wild thing, the super quick. Weird. I've been talking about a lot of kickboxers. Weird time for the kickboxer. Joe Schilling take on Donegi Abena. The 7-year return for Joe Schilling, the former Glory middleweight champion. His son was there. Abena, a former Glory lightweight champion, making his MMA debut. So both these guys are not, they're Glory kickboxers. Champions, great at what they do. So we were getting ready for a good stand-up fight. Long return from Joe Schilling. And Donegi Abena wins in 37 seconds via retirement from Joe Schilling following an illegal headbutt. So they kind of scramble, end up on the ground. Donegi's on top, and the most blatant foul attempt, just to lean back. Oh. And it wasn't an attempt. He did a foul. Schilling kind of moves at the last second, so it kind of dodges him. Didn't get fully hit by it. But it's just... Bro, you can't headbutt, And I don't think you can headbutt in Glory, too, so I don't know why he thinks he can do it in MMA. Joe Schilling loses it. Honestly, good work by Mike Beltran, the ref. I think he did a good job at calming Schilling down. He took the point immediately, which is good. And unfortunately for the rules, what they are is if you take a point, you have to return them to the position they were in. So he could have taken a warning from Abena, and then they could have restarted on the feet. But because he took a point, and he should have took a point, that was a blatant foul. But because he took a point, they had to put him back down on the ground. And the reason why is because if you take a point and restart on the feet, that it punishes again, the fighter fouled, but it punishes them twice, and that's not fair according to the rules. So they put him back in the position. Joe Schilling kind of has a problem with that, but it seems like he's kind of, he threw his tantrum get on, like, okay, whatever. He's getting in there, and then it seems like he has it's a weird reaction, really. But it seems like he got pissed off about, like, no, they were locked up, you gotta... So, not just in the guard on top, but also, like, oh, no, he had your arm like this, he had these hooks, and then at that point, Joe Schilling said, screw it, he's not going to... He's like, oh, I'm not going to get screwed twice, blah, 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 I've already been fouled, and he basically says he's done. Mark Beltran tries to calm him down. He says, look, you're going to lose. It will be a loss if you give up here. It will be Reds you giving up. And, Schilling said, screw it, and he's done. So, weird night for the kickboxers. Abena wins his MMA debut in the wildest way. Hopefully, he learns the rules, and I'd like to see his next fight because I like watching the kickboxers fight. Joe Schilling, I would have liked to see him fight, but, 7 years to kind of just give up after a foul. I mean, maybe he's annoyed he didn't know the rules, and I get that, but, like, that's a tough way to do that. And, I don't know if... the promotion's going to really enjoy having him fight again because that's kind of that would annoy me. That would, hey, you just walked out in 30 seconds basically. Yeah, you got fouled and fair play. But that was the PFL Brussels as well as PFL MENA 9. Thank you for watching. And again, I don't really watch a lot of PFL. I don't really keep up with it. Remember, up until the UFC kind of came out to Paramount, me and Kelby kind of both had taken a step back from watching the sport. And we're getting back into it now, and, with all, combat sports, I don't know how well it's doing. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with it and the sport as well. So it's like, I believe it's important to cover the other events, not just the UFC, especially like Brussels was a great crowd. That was a fun event. The Rico Usyk fight was fun as well. And, I have fun watching the One Championship, One Friday fight. So I'm going to cover this other stuff. I'm going to talk about it. And hopefully, you guys enjoy it too. And, you guys, maybe watch a little bit. I'm not saying pay for it, Hey, it was on, it was on ESPN Plus. I got it. And, also, catch it on YouTube. YouTube's free, people. YouTube is free. And anyways, thank you for watching. Go ahead, like, share, subscribe. Please comment below, join the discussion. What do you think about the PFL? What do you think about the tournament model? And what would you like to see from the PFL? Because more MMA is good. It's good. So please comment below. Thank you.